Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is to cut through some of the complexity of human motivation. We're diving into a really detailed summary of Robert Greene's research on behavior, all synthesized in his book, The Laws of Human Nature.
And the premise is pretty powerful.
It really is. It argues that a lot of the time we're basically sleepwalking.
Right. We think our conscious self is in charge.
But underneath all that, there are these, 18 primitive forces that are really pulling the strings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They govern our choices, our desires, and, crucially, the behavior of everyone we interact with.
And that's the real value here for you, the learner. This isn't just theory.
Not at all. It's more of a toolkit for improving your emotional literacy, your decision-making, really.
That kind of shortcut.
It's a huge advantage in decoding what's really motivating your colleagues or your friends. And even more, you start to see your own repressed traits, what Jung called the anima and animus, and where your own aggression comes from.
Okay, let's unpack this then. And I think we have to start with what the research calls the trickiest and most elusive emotion,
We do. That's Law 10, the law of envy.
the constant battle with the fragile ego.
Right. And envy is, at its core, an unconscious comparison. You look at someone else and you feel they have something you lack,
Status, maybe, or an opportunity?
or just happiness.
Yeah.
And it's so insidious because it's this painful feeling of inferiority that we just refuse to admit to ourselves.
And the sources distinguish between two types, right? Passive and active.
Yeah, passive envy can sometimes, motivate you to do better. But active envy, that's just destructive. It wants to tear the other person down.
So if it's unconscious, how on earth do you spot it?
Yeah.
This is where the detection methods get really interesting.
Well, you have to look for the tells because they'll never admit it. It's all in the micro expressions,
In the eyes.
especially the eyes. It's this momentary flash of disdain or hostility or even just discomfort. It's so quick.
And it happens when,
Not
on a first meeting.
a first meeting or, the second they hear good news about you. If you see that flash more than once, the sources say you need to be really vigilant.
And beyond the eyes, there's the way people talk, specifically something called poisonous praise.
Yes, poisonous praise. It's that classic backhanded compliment.
Right.
A confusing mix of praise and sarcasm designed to make you feel a little bit of doubt.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. A colleague might say something like, "You did a fantastic job leading that meeting." I mean, for someone who usually struggles with public speaking, it was surprisingly solid.
Ouch. The compliment is there, but the poison is that doubt they're injecting.
Precisely. That and things like chronic gossip are just ways for the envier to vent all that hostility they can't admit they have.
The sources even lay out a kind of diagnostic tool for this, the Schopenhauer method.
It's a fascinating test because it forces a reaction that's almost impossible to fake.
Yeah.
You test them twice. First, you share some genuinely good news about yourself, a big success, a promotion. And you watch their face for that initial micro-expression. And then you see the strained effort in their congratulations.
And the second test.
Is the reverse.
Yeah.
You share a genuine misfortune. And that's when you look for that tiny, uncontrollable flicker of joy.
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude. If both tests point the same way, you know you're dealing with active envy.
Let's talk about the specific types of enviers, because their disguise is their best weapon. First up, the leveler.
The leveler is just threatened by anyone's excellence. Their whole goal, especially at work, is to enforce mediocrity.
How do they do that?
They make ambitious people feel guilty for having ambition. They use social pressure to sort of pull everyone down to their level where they feel comfortable.
Okay, then there's the status fiend. The interesting thing here is how they can hide it.
Oh, they're completely obsessed with rank, with material things. They want to know your salary, the size of your house. But, and this is the key, they might outwardly act all monk-like.
Like they're above it all?
Exactly. Like they're above earthly concerns. And that disguise just makes their envy burn even hotter when they see the success they secretly crave.
And finally, the attacher.
The attacher is drawn to successful people, but not out of admiration. They don't have their own purpose, but they crave the attention that comes from being near a high achiever.
So they resent them.
They resent them for getting the attention they feel they deserve without, doing any of the hard work themselves.
So how do we protect ourselves? Or maybe more constructively, how do we rise above this?
It's all about a psychological reframe. The philosopher Nietzsche had this concept called Mitfreud,
Which means?
joying with. It's about actively practicing empathy for someone else's happiness, training yourself to genuinely feel their success even when it's not yours. That stops the envy from ever taking root.
And the second strategy?
Practicing gratitude through what are called downward comparisons. We always look up at people who have more, and it makes us miserable.
Right.
Instead, look downwards. Not in a superior way, but to just appreciate what you have. Your health, your freedom, things billions of people lack. It shifts your whole mindset from scarcity to abundance.
That's a perfect transition, because if envy is about feeling inadequate, then Law 11, the law of grandiosity, is the flip side.
It's about overcompensating, projecting this belief that you're uniquely superior, blowing up every success, and totally downplaying luck or help from others.
And the sources say this is, what, exponentially more prominent today?
Oh, absolutely, for two main reasons. One, a lot more pampering in childhood, leading to this expectation of special treatment. And two, the big one, social media.
It's the grandiosity virus.
Precisely. It gives you a limitless stage for self-display. You can build this huge presence, attract adoring followers, and create an illusion of greatness that might have no connection to reality.
And this illusion can actually help a grandiose leader get into power, especially if they have some talent and energy. What are the signs?
Well, they build a story that greatness is my destiny. They thrive in a crisis because they can position themselves as the savior, making these huge emotional promises.
But they can't take responsibility.
Never. Their mantra is, everything I touch turns to gold. So if something goes wrong, it's always someone else's fault. And eventually, that catches up to them. Their need for attention just overrides any rational thinking.
So this desire to feel important is clearly a powerful human drive. How do we channel it constructively instead of letting it warp our reality?
First step is just honesty. Acknowledge that you have that desire. Then you channel it.
How?
The key is reality checks. Constantly seek out criticism and feedback. You have to train yourself not to expect your first idea to be perfect. And second, keep seeking challenges that are just a little bit above your skill level. That tension keeps you focused and grounded.
Now we have to shift the focus inward, from decoding others to looking at the conflicts inside ourselves. Law 12, the law of gender rigidity.
Right. This gets into the Jungian ideas of the anima and the animus.
Explain that for us.
Well, the idea is that we all have a mix of masculine and feminine qualities. But early on, we start repressing the ones that don't fit our expected gender role.
So a man might repress his sensitive side.
His anima. And a woman might repress her ambitious or aggressive side, her animus. We basically cut off parts of ourselves to fit in.
And the danger, the research argues, is that this leads to terrible choices in our romantic partners. Why is that?
Because we're unconsciously trying to become whole again. When we fall in love, we project all those repressed parts of ourselves onto the other person.
So you're not loving them for who they are.
You're loving them because they seem to embody what you're missing. And that projection is doomed to fail because, they aren't actually your missing half. And until you fix the root cause in yourself, you just repeat the pattern.
The sources have these fascinating gender projection types that show this in action. Can you give us an example?
Sure, take the devilish romantic. This is often a woman drawn to older, powerful, successful men. Unconsciously, she might be trying to get the power or attention she never got from her father.
And the other side?
You might have the elusive woman of perfection, a man projecting a perfect fantasy onto a woman because he's trying to fill an emotional void left by, say, an unsupportive mother.
So the takeaway here for you listening isn't about gender roles in society, it's about self-completion.
That's it, exactly. The message is, stop playing the role society hands you. Look inside. Find those underdeveloped parts of your character, whether it's sensitivity or assertiveness, and actively develop them. That's the only way to break the cycle.
And that desire to create a truer version of yourself requires focus, which brings us to Law 13, the law of aimlessness, connecting your actions to a purpose.
Right. Humans aren't like animals. We're not just guided by instinct. If you only follow what you feel moment to moment, you just wander. Purpose is the guide. The source calls it a force multiplier.
A force multiplier, I like that.
When you have a high sense of purpose, all the different parts of you are aimed in one direction. It gives you incredible energy and resilience.
And the strategies for this are very practical. First, find your calling.
Which is often visible in your childhood. In those moments, you felt completely absorbed and at ease with an activity. And once you find it, you need to manage the anxiety of such a big goal.
That's the ladder of descending goals.
Exactly. Break the huge vision down into small daily tasks. That way you focus on the process, not how far away the end is.
We also have to watch out for false purposes. Things like just pursuing pleasure or vague causes or cults. But maybe the most dangerous false purpose is cynicism.
Oh yes, the embrace of the void as purpose. It's easy. It requires no risk, and it gives you this fake sense of being smarter than everyone. But it's deeply corrosive.
And that need for directed energy brings us right to Law 16, aggression. A true purpose needs drive.
And the source is very clear here. Humans are not fundamentally gentle creatures. We are all wired for aggression. It's a latent force in every single person.
So the idea that we've evolved past our violent side is, well, challenged here. What's the root of this aggression?
It's almost always insecurity, a deep fragility, usually from some unresolved wound from childhood. And to hide that vulnerability, the aggressor tries to overpower and control other people, seeing them as objects to be managed.
But in modern society, you can't just be directly aggressive. So how does it come out?
It comes out sideways,
Yeah.
through passive-aggressive strategies.
Like the insinuating doubt strategy.
It's everywhere. That calculated, offhand remark meant to chip away at your confidence, like saying, wow, it's amazing how calm you stayed during that presentation, considering how much pressure you were under.
The subtext being you were about to fall apart. And it's often motivated by envy, which we talked about.
Often, yes.
And then there's the blame shifter strategy. That silent treatment when you confront them.
Yes, it's designed to flip the script on you. You call them out, and they just go silent. Or give you this hurt look, making you feel guilty for overreacting.
So you won't confront them next time.
That's the goal. It conditions you to back down.
And the counter to this is crucial. You can't give them the emotional reaction they want.
No, you have to stay objective, unaffected. Don't get pulled into the drama. But the ultimate constructive move is to take your own aggressive energy and redirect it.
Toward what?
Towards your work, your ambitions, real problems you can actually solve. That's controlled, purposeful aggression.
This has been a true deep dive. I mean, we've covered the mechanics of envy and grandiosity. We've looked inward at projection in relationships and then how to channel purpose and aggression.
And to tie it all together, we have to look at the final law in this framework, Law 18, the law of death denial.
The final philosophical context.
Yes, we spend our lives denying death because it's terrifying. But that denial makes us waste so much time on trivial things.
So the answer is to face it.
To become viscerally aware of it, not in a morbid way, but as a focusing tool. The source says to visualize yourself at the very end of your life.
What does that do?
It creates a deadline, a psychological deadline for your life's projects. And that awareness just frees you from all the insignificant worries and forces you to focus only on what truly matters, your calling, your relationships. It's the ultimate cure for procrastination.
That really is the ultimate so what for all these laws, isn't it? When you think about the sublime, about the vastness of time and space, your own little status anxieties just seem
Insignificant.
exactly. To master yourself and others, you first have to master your own mortality.
So here's the final thought for you to take away from all this.
How does embracing your own insignificance, which you can do by contemplating nature or your own mortality, how does that fundamentally change the daily struggles you're facing and the decisions you have to make right now?
That's the question to carry forward as you integrate these deep laws of human nature.